Welcome to the January 23rd, 2024, 6:30 p.m. City Council meeting. We do have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. Sorry. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? And the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. City Clerk, would you please read the rules to speak?
Yes, sir. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Those wishing to speak on quasi-judicial public hearings must complete a sign-up card and sign the oath. Sign-up and oath cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions from the public present. This opportunity is offered twice in the meeting, and individuals may speak at either the first or second petitions, but not both. No sign-up card is required. Citizens shall not comment on any issue more than once during the meeting. All comments except petitions and requests must address the pending issue, and citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak. Citizens wishing to speak on the consent agenda must submit a sign-up card identifying the items of interest. Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes to speak on the entire consent agenda. All sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to City Council shall be placed in the box on the table.
Thank you very much, City Clerk. Could I have a motion for approval of the minutes for November 14th?
So moved.
I have a motion,
Second.
a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Minutes accepted. City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. Administrative note, staff would like to withdraw item 9A, which is ordinance number 4/2024, the landscape technical manual ordinance.
Do we need to approve that?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to approve that?
Motion.
Second?
I would second it, but I would like to have a bit of discussion.
Okay.
I was watching the TEC meeting yesterday, and they brought up two really good points, and they didn't feel like they were able to explore those options. And one would be allowing or having our LDRs require that a certain percentage of the plantings were native. And apparently there are a lot of communities that do that, anything from 30% native to 80% native. And the other was that some of the communities were allowing enhancements if you use native plants. And it was interesting because there is a difference between native plants and Florida-friendly plants, and native plants, of course, are preferred. So I'm not sure what we need to do to allow them to explore those options and come up with a recommendation. So I'm looking at Richard.
My understanding is this item will be withdrawn, which will allow the boards to continue to work on this and staff to then bring it back to you at a later date. So if that's the plan, then I don't know if staff can tell me if it's already scheduled to go back to any of the boards or not.
Eddie's back there, so I'm sure. Okay. They had a very good discussion, and I think they were pretty close on where they wanted to be. But my concern was, are they going to be allowed to consider these items?
Sure, if that's
As they're
your intent in
discussing it.
withdrawing, you can certainly advise staff at this point that you're withdrawing this in order to allow more discussion. Whatever council's pleasure is in withdrawing this, you can certainly, as part of your motion, say why you're withdrawing and what you expect to happen.
So would we need to amend that motion?
Not if we're withdrawing it, but what it means is they get to talk about it more, and then staff would bring
Sure,
it back.
as part of your,
Okay.
as part of your discussion of why
It's-
you're withdrawing,
right now it
what you're
means nothing's
expecting
final.
to happen.
Okay.
That's
So-
one. That means they all can still work on it.
That's correct.
Okay,
Vice
that
Mayor.
sounds good.
That was, I was just going to say that, Mr. Mayor, that with tabling, there's still more discussion that can be taken on
And that means that we're not bringing anything up that we're saying, hey, this is what needs to be. We're sending it back, saying, bring us some more.
Right,
Member
so
Stokoe.
So I'd
I'm
make
sorry.
that clear in your discussion. If we're withdrawing, if you're expecting them to continue having that discussion and bring it back to you, you certainly can make that clear.
Yeah, to clarify that point, I guess, since we are withdrawing it, I'm assuming that staff wants to take more time to go over some of the things that were brought up, as well as the consultant. So for me, being on council, what I would like to see when it is brought, if there were those points that Member Nelson brought up, would those be good things to potentially add to the technical manual, or if not, why not, or what would be the pros and cons? Because I feel like we did have something, TEC brought up some things, but we also had the consultant that brought up some things as well. And so I would just like to have a little bit more explanation when we do have something as to why this might be the best option, or what we need to maybe further clarify or discuss as council.
After more discussion with the TEC and staff, I mean, the whole bit gets to be remolded. Okay, so you have the second, we have the motion, and say that again?
I think
Right.
if it's withdrawn, we don't have cards on
Right,
it.
it's being withdrawn. In my opinion, Mr. Cheryl, we could withdraw it. We wanted to get your directions doing that, so it's not a final decision since it is coming back, and we will take cards when it comes back.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
no
I
cards
just
right
wanted
now
to
'cause it's
say,
withdrawn.
I think the discussion is, the intent of council is to withdraw it, not to make a decision at this time.
this is-
But to go back to the
we're saying-
boards to continue to work on this and then come back to you. At that time, it would have to be re-advertised, so the public knows it's not being tabled, the time certain, it's being withdrawn, but when it does come back to you into the board, it'll be re-advertised.
It's withdrawn. So that being said, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes? Yes. Opposed? Withdrawn. City manager.
We are on to item 6A, which is the boards and commissions. This is the Historic Preservation Board semi-annual report. I believe Ms. Schiflo will be the presenter.
Good evening, council
Hi.
and public. I'm an official member of your Historic Preservation Advisory Board.
Yes, you are.
Last July, we were awarded a $50,000 grant from the Florida Division of Historical Resources for our project, Joinerville and Beyond, memorializing and celebrating Titusville's African American history. In October, you approved the grant agreement, and a call for proposals closed on December 19th. We look forward to assisting council on the selection of the appropriate consultants and beginning the research before what was Joinerville is overrun by West Titusville. The Historic Preservation Board voted to become one of the fiscal sponsors of the North Brevard Heritage Foundation's Hand in Glove Seminar on Historic Preservation and Heritage Tourism. It's this coming Saturday, January 27th, at the Brevard Veterans Memorial Center in Merritt Island. The purpose is to increase public and professional awareness of how both disciplines of historic preservation and heritage tourism work hand in glove for community economic development. Aimed at an audience of chambers of commerce, historic preservation associations and organizations, municipal economic planners and developers, tourism associations, cruise line representatives, travel agents, historic site and museum directors, and corporate event planners. Our member, Roz Foster, is a conference organizer and panelist, and staff's Brad Parrish is a keynote speaker on the role of local government in protection and promotion of historic and cultural resources. Last fall, our board member, Kirk Davis, and staff attended a site visit at the historic LaGrange Cemetery in coordination with the Florida Public Archaeological Network, FPAN, regarding a future housing development adjacent to the historic cemetery. This led to a certificate to dig application to go before the Historic Preservation Board. Later, we heard and approved case COA 1/2023, an application for certificate of appropriateness to authorize the issuance of a certificate to dig to the property adjacent to the historic LaGrange Cemetery, utilizing ground-penetrating radar to determine the presence and extent of any burial sites located on the proposed development site. And there are some graves that are in that area. Your HPB coordinated with FPAN to host a cemetery resource protection training, CRIPT, workshop here in Titusville on Saturday, February 10th at the historic Oak Ridge Cemetery. This workshop on cemetery restoration is open to the public. So in December, I represented your HPB at the Tidally United Summit in the city of Cape Canaveral, presented by the Florida Public Archaeological Network. They're quite a spry young group of scholars. I dig them a lot, and I look forward to their crypt workshop. Back in the fall.
I got it now. It took me a minute.
On the drum, Andrew. Back in the fall, that's a rim shot, you know. Back in the fall, your Historic Preservation Board worked with staff to send letters to potential historic property owners to encourage obtaining historic designation and inviting these owners to HPB meetings. Nobody came. But with the objective of increasing awareness of the value of historic resource preservation, we spent a lot of time preparing for our annual public workshop to be held in May. And that's National Historic Preservation Month. So I look forward to reporting on the success of these projects at our next semi-annual report. And I encourage you to attend our upcoming workshops and seminars. They're fun, they're exciting, and they're historic.
Very
Thank you
good.
very much.
Thank you. Very well done. Appreciate that. Very well done. City Manager.
On to item 6B, which is the Planning and Zoning Commission. The terms of 4 regular members, Theodore Gerard, Thomas Perez, Megan Moscoso, Romney Grant, and 1 alternate member, John Rogers, with a term to expire on 31 January 2024. Regular members Moscoso, Gerard, and Grant have expressed their desire to continue to serve as regular board members for the 2-year term to expire on 31 January 2026. Regular member Thomas Perez, dual member with the Planning and Zoning Commission and Titusville Environmental Commission, does not wish to seek reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Alternate member John Rogers has expressed his desire to be appointed as a regular member for a 2-year term to expire on 31 January 2026. If Mr. Rogers is not appointed as a regular member, then council will need to reappoint him as an alternate member with a 2-year term to expire on 31 January 2026. Alternate member Christopher Childs has expressed his desire to be appointed as a regular member for a 2-year term to expire on 31 January 2026. If Mr. Childs is not appointed as a regular member, then he desires to continue as an alternate member with a term that does not expire until 31 January 2025. In addition, there are 3 new applications on file for your consideration: Benita Diaz-Gallo, Michael Feldner, and Robert Johnston. And what you're going to do is appoint 4 regular members and 1 alternate member to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire on 31 January 2026.
Thank you. What I'll do is I'll see if council has any input first, then we'll go to some cards, and some of the people here might want to speak who are on this list. And Member Stokel.
Yep, I'm going to save my input for after, but I do have a question. Since Tom Perez was serving as the dual member with TEC, do we need to have that as part of our discussion as well, or do you just focus on the P&Z and wait on that portion?
I would suggest, I don't think it was advertised, he's not off yet, and that could be a subject to discussion at your next meeting.
Okay.
Because some people who might be interested might want to consider
Serve in
that
that.
and come and apply for that. So yes, you will have that discussion, but I would
Okay.
suggest that at your next meeting.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
You can have input tonight, but make a decision.
Okay.
Member Nelson.
I wanted to talk on behalf of a gentleman who is not here, and that's Michael Fendler. I met Michael probably September, October last year. He works at Lockheed. He's working on the Artemis program, and he has been sent out of state to work for the next month, so he could not be here. He is a super smart guy. He is now one of their senior engineers on that program. He really wanted to be on planning and zoning, and I think he's a great candidate. I will say he is soon to be part of our Rotary Club. Sorry, Herman. Yours. Our Rotary Club. Joe Richardson's met him. I believe he's been at P&Z several times, two of them, to see what it is before he actually put his application in. So I'm just saying he is a great guy, and please don't feel bad that he's not here. He's working, he's getting married, so he needs money.
Does it appear that his Artemis stature will interfere with attending P&Z meetings?
It doesn't appear to be so. I mean, I've known him since September. This is the first time he's been sent out of the area. It was something to do with the ordinance
Okay.
testing, and so for that, he had to leave.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, my comment is that I want to congratulate the P&Z board because I have been watching them on the television. They're doing a wonderful job. And all of the members that has selected to stay, it is my endorsement for them to stay. And the opening that is left by Mr. Perez, you got two candidates that I have watched very thoroughly, and both of them do a wonderful job, and it's admirable that both of them have selected to
Yep.
remain. I mean, that's a good team. And I think that should be applauded. And as we go into the decision on that one opening, I think that we have a couple of the candidates that have applied for the opening of the alternate, and I'll state my thoughts on them when we get to that point.
Thank you, sir. I will have no problem playing my cards, the three that I see that are presently on there. I certainly see as renewals, with no question. Very proud of what you guys do and the sincerity with which you do it. So, again, Gerard, Megan, and Grant, those are three returners, and I'm very pleased with that, and we can deal with the other as we go. Are you good? All right, well, with that, we do feel like we have a solid lineup, and we're just having a couple things to fill in there, so call the cards.
We have two cards. Joe Richardson.
I don't think I need to say anything, and I'm not going to be as dramatic as Chiplow was. Who cares?
Nobody, where's Shiflo at? Nobody is. Yeah, I guess playing our cards does that a little bit, but, and you're probably going to say the same thing we are. You're very satisfied with the, it's just good stuff.
The
Next.
last card I have is Stan Johnston, and then I know we have several applicants here, so.
I want to be treated as an applicant, so I want to be, when they're called.
I think that and you can, certainly the applicants can certainly speak. I think the three we mentioned we played our cards not very soundly. So, and yeah, anybody else who's an applicant, which you are, come on up. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, you're fine. You're fine. Your timing's great.
Sorry, I got stuck in traffic in Orlando. Oh, I'm sorry. John Rogers, 3419 Mogul Avenue. And I just simply wanted to say that I have really enjoyed being on the P&Z. I'd like to continue that as a regular member, not an alternate. And it's a fine group of people, and I feel like we've got We've got a good chemistry, and I think we work well together. I think we all bring different strengths and different personal interests to the job. And I've learned a lot, and I'm enjoying it. That's really all I've got to say.
Any questions? I see none. Thank you, sir. Any other applicants who wish to say something? Someone stand, that would be you.
I am.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As an applicant.
All right, first of all, is that what Mr. Broom said about getting a person to be both committees after we make all these decisions doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because you need somebody on TEC and P&Z to be represented on Planning and Zoning Commission. I think that Mr. Richardson would support what I'm saying, and all the other ones would support it. So I'm saying, first of all, I don't see how it makes any sense to make all these decisions, and then you don't have somebody on TEC. So I would think the first thing order of business would be to select a person who will be able to be on both the committees first, and then you could take care of all the other ones. That's what I suggest. I don't know how you do it otherwise. Sarah Stoker, I thank you for bringing that up. I don't know how, I cannot even understand how it was not even on the agenda.
Mayor, we don't know who's going to be on P and Z until you appoint them.
That's
So
exactly
there's no
right.
way you can put someone on both boards to know
Exactly
who the
right.
members of P and Z will be. Once we know, then they can state whether they have an interest in being in both, and we don't know that yet.
So what I'm saying is, Mr. Broom doesn't make any sense at all still from what he said, because you've got to still have it. I mean,
Well, that's where we're going with it,
if you
Stan.
appoint everybody tonight, it's
That-
dead.
That's where we're going with it. So you can talk about how you want to
What
be
do you
on
mean?
there.
Do you know what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to go with what the city attorney says
Which
on
makes
that.
no sense at all.
So
So, okay, that will be, I mean, that's what a football coach will do.
I appreciate you
You know,
expressing
but it
yourself.
makes no sense at all. It makes no sense the way it was presented. Anyhow, but I think you ought to consider me, because I bring things like, for example, the survey at SNJ Oaks is an imaginary several feet off. The Brad Parrish admits it's off and so forth like that, and yet it's still continuing. Nothing written nothing in writing to the owner, surveyor, or anything like that, yet the city knows it's wrong. So I just talked to Lois Ward about it, and he also thinks, what in the world is the city doing? What is P&Z doing when it's presented to them? What is Vice Mayor Robinson, who was out there, I showed it to him. So magically, Brad Parrish, who's on P&Z, he's saying it's in the process. Never heard it. This is absolute nonsense. So I would like to bring some sanity to what you're doing on the P&Z and the city council and the planning and zoning, because you don't have it. Obviously, you got a football coach, you got a pastor and so forth like that. It's going to let it go and make absolute nonsense, just like sewage spills. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, well, any other speakers? Yeah, come on up.
Megan Moscoso, Demerit Drive. Sorry I didn't mention this earlier. I actually spoke to Ms. Wells about being the liaison on the TEC for the P&Z. And so I would hope that maybe, I'm not sure if this would be tonight, but that you would consider me to be the liaison for the TEC.
Thank you for that bit of information. Thank you. Now, any other speakers on the board? Okay, I see none. Obviously, I think the first thing I'd like to do is renew the three. And I mean, I think it sounds like, and I know we need a motion and all that stuff, but, and certainly you can move me in that direction. But I think that
Well,
it's been commendable. It's been commendable.
this is going to be my suggestion,
Okay.
or my motion, is that we renew the three.
Okay.
And Vice Mayor might be shocked, but I think Mr. Childs has been there for a while, and he's waited very patiently. And I think we need to appoint him as the fourth regular member. I would like to appoint Michael Findler, as an alternate.
City Attorney. are we good with doing the renewals and adding one at the same time in one vote?
Yes, sir. If you get consensus on the motion, and you can do one motion and appoint the three and the alternate.
All right, well, I think we're going to get a motion here. Say again?
Oh, John would remain as an alternate.
Who's the
Chris has been waiting.
But his term is due to expire, so you will have to reappoint him.
Okay, I'm sorry. And reappoint Mr. Rogers as an alternate.
Okay, repeat that in one long swoop.
Okay. I would move to appoint Chris Childs, Mr. Gerard, Ms. Masoko, and Mr. Grant as regular members of P&Z. I would move to appoint Mr. Rogers, sorry, and Mr. Fendler as alternates.
Okay, there is the motion with the names. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Oh, hold on. City Attorney, are you? When he does that, I'm not sure if he's over with us or not.
Just confirming, I didn't quite hear it all, so I was confirming the regular members would be Mr. Gerard, Ms. Moscoso, Mr. Grant, and the fourth was
Mr. Childs.
Mr. Childs.
I didn't.
The alternate would be renewed as Mr. Rogers
And Michael Fendler.
and Mr. Fendler.
Because he'll replace Mr. Childs.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
he's in there. Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah.
Just looked at it. On page, here is Michael Fendler. What page is that? 46, page 46. Okay. All right, are you ready, sir, or no? Okay, I have the motion from Member Nelson. I have the second from Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Wow, good job, Member Nelson. I appreciate you guys very much, and, it's easy to do that when I know how sincere and caring you are, and that's what makes it work. So thank you, and I know there's more of you out and about and all over the world, and I appreciate you. Thank you, all of you. So that was, that's kind of a clap one. All right, thank you very much, City Manager.
On to item 6C, which is the Planning and Zoning Commission semi-annual report as written. It's in your packet, no actions required.
Good job, appreciate it.
Item 6D, which is the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization Citizen Advisory Committee appointment. Currently, there is one applicant on file for consideration. Ms. Laura Witten has expressed her willingness and desire to serve on this committee. Her application is attached for your consideration.
And she's the only applicant,
That's correct.
and she's been out there how long as an applicant?
So the position itself has been open for 18 months, and this is the first applicant we've had. Normally, we would bring more applications to you, but because the duration of the vacancy and the applicant meets the criteria, we went ahead and brought it forward.
Okay, any input or thought on that?
Oh, is Ms. Whitten here? Ah. She's present.
Yeah, come on up and speak, Ms. Whitten. And the name and address and the stage is yours.
Thank you. My name is Laura Witten. I live at 1445 Thoreau Street here in Titusville, Florida. But thank you, first of all, Council, for this consideration. I would like to express, that I went to high school here at Astronaut High School. I know. And my daughter recently graduated this past year. And so I thought, where do I want to retire? Where do I want to spend my time? And I had such a wonderful youth here in the community. This is where I want to be. I love being able to walk out, see the launches straight from my driveway. And I volunteer at NASA social events whenever I can. I just think that I can be of value to inputting consideration to the council and the community in general.
Very good. Any questions from here? Go ahead.
No.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
we have any cards on this one?
One card, Stan Johnston.
Stan, you're going to talk about this young lady?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is important.
There's
Stan Johnson, you know I'm a professional engineer, and I've come to you a number of times about transportation issues.
There you have.
So we've got, what have we got in transportation issues? By golly, we got sea level rise that the city hasn't really fully addressed, and I want this lady to know this. We have a stormwater management plan that's not fully addressed either by the comp plan or by, let's say, city. We have a law that the city continues to violate. You're not doing the right thing. And we have erroneous flood zones that have asked to be corrected. Only one has been corrected. So what do? You do nothing. You just ignore them.
So Stan, I'm going to ask you to stop the clock, and then I won't stop it anymore. I'm going to ask you to talk about the transportation, about the nomination of this person, and you're using this to go all over the world. We're going to stop, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to be done. Go.
Okay. I would like to answer your question. I would like to use my time to answer your question, Mr.
Transportation.
No, I'm answering your question. The thing is, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
I'm listening to what you're saying.
No, you're not listening.
But this is when you're supposed to talk about this. You want to talk about stuff later?
You're not
Great.
listening.
Here you go. You got
The thing, the problem
It's going
is,
to be over.
the problem is that I am talking directly about transportation. When I talk about this drainage and stuff, that has to do, and sea level rise, that has directly to do with the roads.
Good.
It does. So in other words, you're wrong in what you said.
No,
The
I got
football
you
coach.
relating it now. You're not relating it. I can figure
Well,
that out.
then, I think some other people would understand what I'm talking about, sea level rise, if they know where they're in transportation. You've got to do it. We've got intersection right there at
Stan,
Garden Street and US
Stan,
1.
stop. Do you support this nomination?
Would you stop?
No,
the
no, go
clock?
ahead. Keep going. Do
No,
you support this
no,
nomination?
that's not right. You need to stop the
Yes
clock.
or no? Do you support this nomination? Because that's really all we want to
Okay,
know.
here's what I'm letting you know. I want you to do the right thing, and you haven't been doing the
So
right
you-
thing.
you're not gonna
That's the
support the
problem.
nomination?
This city council, in other words, when I'm telling you about transportation, you haven't been doing the right thing. You don't have my support because you're not doing the right thing. Again, with so many matters, the city council, city manager, city attorney, you're doing the wrong thing, and it's
Stan, are
very
you talking about through
obvious.
this nomination?
It's
Are
obvious
you
and
going to talk about this
notorious.
nomination?
It's obvious and
Okay,
notorious you're doing
done.
the right thing.
You're done.
I want
Have a
her-
seat.
Okay.
Have a seat. Thank you.
So I don't even have my
Have a seat.
time.
No,
So you cut
you're
my
done.
time off, and
I gave
I'm going to
you
sit
every
down
chance to
on my
talk
own.
about the nomination, and that's what this is about. You don't want to talk about the nomination. Have a seat. See you. Any other? All right, I will simply say, I apologize that somebody like you who comes to apply for something like this, we appreciate you being here. Feels like sometimes we have that one person that doesn't want to go with the class, and we'll leave it at that. Go.
Okay. Move to appoint Ms. Whitten to the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization Citizens Advisory Committee.
I would like to second that with a thank you for applying for it.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Thank you, and you're approved, and we can't thank you enough for applying, just like our other boards. Thank you. City Manager.
On to item 6E, which is the Titusville Community Service Awards Select Committee. The mayor will appoint a chairperson and a clergy representative for the 2024 Titusville Community Service Awards Select Committee and confirmed by the city council. The mayor has chosen Thomas Al Taylor as the chair, and Barry Russell from the Grove Church as the clergy representative for the Community Service Awards Select Committee.
Two very outstanding people. Barry Russell is a pastor at the Grove and is also the chaplain for the police, and is just so involved with our community, our city, and he will be the guy to know just about all these volunteer nominations for sure. Mr. Taylor similarly is involved in everything, also a member of IRC Methodist. Just outstanding people, and they were the ones who ran it last year. It was run very, very well. They take it very seriously, and the people who were nominated were certainly honored in an appropriate manner, and I am pleased to have these nominations. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I just wanted to ditto that. Good choices.
Thank you, and I hope they'll continue on. Do we have any cards on this?
Stan Johnston?
On E, Barry Russell and Al Taylor.
I didn't know that. Are you sure? I have a card on that?
No card on that one, it's out.
My bad. Somebody's bad.
Okay.
Motion?
Move to confirm the appointment of Al Taylor as the chair and Barry Russell as the clergy representative for the Titusville Community Service Awards Select Committee.
Thank you very much. I need a second.
Second that
I
motion.
have a second from Member Cole. The motion was from Member Nelson. Roll call vote.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole? Member Nelson?
And this is another night of, or another nomination that we thank as they accept these, and I appreciate it. They do a lot of work behind the scenes to make this happen. So I'm appreciative of their volunteering. City Manager.
On to item F, which is the Titusville Housing Authority. Currently, there is one opening for the Titusville Housing Authority. Ms. Monette Massard has expressed her willingness and desire to serve as a regular member on this board for an unexpired term to expire on 31 May 2024. This is the only applicant for this one as well.
Is she here? Good question. I don't see her. Any comments? Anybody have any knowledge or anything? No. Anybody want to? Well, do we have any cards on this one?
Stan Johnston?
Okay.
Stan Johnson, professional engineer. I used to work for the city, and now I'm being criticized for just telling you about some things, what's going on. I had top pay of my position and so forth. So regarding the Titusville Housing Authority, while I was working for the city wanted to sell some properties. I said, well, you know what you should do before you sell the properties? You should go ahead and get the easements for where we have these big storm sewers. And I noticed, by golly, you know what? The city has ignored my recognitions, and this has to do with Titusville Housing Authority. They built it's a duplex or more, a duplex or more than a plex on property in the Titusville I can't remember the area, what it's called. Anyhow, right on top of a storm sewer, big storm sewer going through there. And you know what? They still have not heeded my advice, that is the Water Resources Department, of getting easements done as they were required to do, as they have been noted to do for these housing units. So the housing authority, whoever does that, should be knowledgeable that, by golly, the city of Titusville is doing what? Something that is wrong again and again and again and again and again. So I would like you all to do the right decision in spite of what you have some people, as you identified, are just a nuisance or something, is what you might consider. But then some things need to be done right, and that's what I'd like you guys to do when you choose this and what your housing authority does. Thank you. I'm leaving.
Well said.
Okay.
Thank you. That was right on topic. I appreciate that. Good job. That's for real. Any other cards? Okay, then we will take a motion on this person, right?
Move to appoint Monique Massard to the Titusville Housing Authority for an unexpired term to expire on May 31st this year.
Have a motion from Member Nelson,
Second.
second from Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Diesel?
Yes. And not here. We certainly thank her for volunteering. City Manager.
Item 6G, which is the Titusville Flag and Memorial Committee. The Titusville Flag and Memorial Committee's annual report is included in the packet for your information. No action is required. In addition, by Resolution 27-2003, as ministerial duties, City Council shall affirm the appointment of the members and the election of officers in January of each year. Staff is requesting that City Council affirm the appointments of the members and the election of officers as written in your report.
Thank you very much. I think it's perfectly to say here, I thank them for all the different events that they put together, help put together, collaborate to make work, including this Sunday's astronaut memorial out at the at Sandpoint Park. And is that particular site is called the Astronaut Memorial? Okay, and that will happen at 1 o'clock, I believe. So again, it'll be an excellent, excellent program and honoring and remembering our fallen astronauts over the many years. So I really thank them for all they do. All right, we move into petitions and requests from the public. So, I'm sorry, did I mess up? Oh, yeah, we do. I thought that was no action requested?
On the first part, but then the second part is that we're asking you to reaffirm the membership.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, they all get to stay. All right, we're voting on that. So are there any cards?
Stan Johnston?
Stan Johnson, I'm a veteran, so I want this recognition there. And not only that, is my dad's a veteran. My grandfather, he's a prisoner of war, and so was his brother. His brother died as a prisoner of war. I got a cousin that died in combat too. So I think it's important here that you do recognize and give recognition to our veterans and our flag, because I think that y'all have taken an oath to abide by the Constitution. Please do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. Appreciate that, and thank you for your service and your family's service. I guess we need a motion.
Okay, move to affirm the appointment of members and election of officers for the Titusville Flag and Memorial Committee as written in the annual report.
Motion by the far left side.
Second.
That's true. Let's rephrase that. Members, that was a reference to, you don't do a lot of motions, so I wasn't sure who you were down there. Member Stokel. And I need a second from?
Second.
Member Nelson, roll call vote.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate this group. Petitions and requests.
Ready?
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Stan Johnson. So let me start with a question, because that's what I want you to do. So here's the question. Is anyone in city council, I'm going to give this to Wanda, is anyone in city council going to acknowledge the sewage spill September through November 2022 coming out of manholes, ponding in Greenwood Street and into 9 city streets, as witnessed by me and Laura Lee Thompson, the person who turned off the alarm and red flashing light at the lift station, photos, videotape of sewage flowing out of manholes, and that was shown on videos and so forth at the TEC meeting. Many witnesses, and photographed on the front page of the Florida Today. So I'll give this to Wanda. I don't know if y'all like to answer that question, but I don't think you do want to. Because right now is what's going on is that the TEC is acknowledging the last TEC meeting, saying, hey, we sent these motions to council, like fencing and so forth of the sewage spill, acknowledgement of this sewage spill, and other important issues went right to go to the council, and guess what? Brad Parrish or somebody intercepted these notices, and they never got to council. So that's why I'm asking you, this is the same, pretty much the same question, reworded differently, that the TEC is asking you guys to do. So I'm asking you to answer this question, because I know that city manager and city attorney do not want to answer this question. I posted notices. See these 3 red notices? On City Hall, County Courthouse, houses and so forth, over a dozen churches. See these 3 red notices? A lot of people know about this sewage spill. And here it is, a picture that went on the front page. Well, that went on the Florida Today, and that one went on the Florida Today. So you guys still deny and ignore this stuff, these sewage spills. This is shameful. I'm ashamed of you guys. So I'm asking you again to answer this question. Whoa, it's pretty quiet in here. Real quiet. Boo. No, what I'm saying is that you guys are doing something that is highly illegal. And I will be going to the, what do you call it, FDEP, and reporting what you're doing. You understand that? I got photos, I got witnesses, and I'm one of the witnesses, and so is Laura Lee Thompson, and you guys are not doing the right thing. None of you. None of you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, next up.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, hi.
Melinda Villain, 236 Acorn Drive. I have a few questions for you, too. And starting with, is this fixed yet? Because I don't know. I haven't heard from anyone from the city as to whether or not it's been fixed, or can the business around the corner that happens to share a backyard with the alleyway still pull freight trucks in front of now me and two of my neighbors' houses, because it keeps creeping closer and closer into the residential neighborhood. So these are my questions. Why is the city allowing an accessory use to be used as a main part of their business plan instead of as an incidental use? The shed uses do not stay on their property. Why does your business application not include deliveries? Why are we arguing about road usage when it comes down to a commercial use in a residential zone? Because deliveries are a commercial use according to Florida state statutes. It falls under distribution. Why is the business allowed to make freight deliveries to a residential zone on a street they do not have property on? Do you not see how this is now a problem for your whole city? Any business can use anywhere to get deliveries, freight or otherwise, and your citizens have no recourse. This is now a public nuisance. Additionally, why did the city not abandon the alley when code enforcement allowed the business to have an unpermitted driveway cut from their shed to the alley? The alley is now only paved 12 feet across at one point. You cannot have a one-way road on a dead-end street with no turnaround, and there is now not enough of a paved road for 2 lanes. You guys approved the unpermitted driveway cut, so why did you not also abandon the alley since it is no longer 20 feet across, which is the city standard? And you guys love me talking about blocking things, since that seems to be what actually gets people done. I have proof that every time they pull a freight truck up in front of me and my neighbor's property, if they are not blocking the alleyway to make their deliveries, they are blocking my neighbor's driveway. They are blocking our mailboxes, which means if this continues and the post office decides to drop us because they cannot get to our mailboxes, then we have to go to the post office. That means also any of our garbage deliveries. If they are blocked by a freight truck, there goes my garbage delivery for the week unless I can catch them. So there are a lot of problems with this, and I really just want it fixed, because now it is not just me, it is the 2 properties east of me, which do not have anything, any connection to the commercial zone at all.
By two buildings east of you, they're businesses as well?
No, residential, the 2 houses.
All right.
And we have 3, speaking of historic stuff, which I love, that is like one of my passions, okay? I do a daily Titanic fact on my Facebook page. That is one of the reasons I moved into the neighborhood, all right, to a house that no one is gonna buy. And if I decide that I am tired of being harassed by freight truck deliveries in front of my street, how is my property not now instantly dropped in value? Because if I have a showing, if I decide to sell, that I can't take it anymore, and a freight truck pulls up right when somebody's coming to see my house, who's going to buy that
All right,
house?
I got you. First of all, I'm assuming that this has been going on long before you
But
moved
this
there.
has been going on
No,
since
I got
I
that.
first
I'm not-
came 8 months ago.
But I'm saying it was going on long before you got there. This didn't just happen when you moved in. So this has been something that they have done
This is-
forever.
I have been there now for almost 5 years. They, I think, bought the property a year ago. The first property, they were actually selling the property. They had a dead-end truck parked at the end of the alleyway. The problem is that they have a shed that the doors face out to the alleyway. It does not face onto their property. Their shed uses are not being connected to their property. You know, and everything, the Indian River neighborhood is zoned to the center of the street, which means I should have no commercial uses anywhere to the center of the street
All right.
around my house, and that
I think
includes
we got that,
distribution.
but Kevin and/or, we don't have a bunch over there, the city attorney or somebody tell me, we talked about this more than you know, including my meeting this morning.
I'm sure you have.
And some of the problems we have is that they have a legal right to deliver to their business, et cetera. But I obviously have a concern about, that happens to be a very small road with houses on it.
And you
It
have
doesn't all
3
fit together.
houses that are almost
So
100
what we
years
have to
old
deal
on
with
the
here
street.
are what are the facts, what are the legality, what are the ordinances, not just, hey, you guys can't do that because of this. I need to hear what we really can do, and if we don't have anything we can do, should this come to an advisement from staff on some things we can do? Because all the discussions I've had with city manager, staff, et cetera, we don't really, you know, we can't say they can't come and deliver their stuff. We can't throw a roadblock up. We can't say you can't come here, but we have people who live there. You guys tell me, because that's not how, we don't have the answers. We ask staff to give us some answers that we can work with. So one of y'all step up and tell me something.
I can let Kevin answer the facts. I'm not going to render an opinion because I'm investigating her facts. I'm not the site. I can tell you, though, the fact that a commercial vehicle delivers over the road doesn't make that a commercial use in that neighborhood because they're using the road. It may be a commercial vehicle, but the use is based on the properties and how they're used. You know, the mail is going to drive over every road. UPS is going to drive over roads to get you through residential neighborhoods. That's what they're going to do. Now, whether or not the activity that's happening on that site itself is a violation of the code is what you would look at. That would require code officers to investigate and do reports. And to find a violation, they would have to find a code section, a local law that is being violated that you would remedy. If that doesn't exist, there's not a violation. Now, if there's an activity going on that someone believes we should address through our codes, then you would need to know those facts, and we would need to find out, is there something we need to do? Is there a nuisance that we need to resolve through amending our codes? But at this stage, we can't find someone in violation of a code that is not a violation. So it would depend on the facts. I don't know to the extent that code enforcement has done an investigation or a report to determine whether or not the activity that is happening is in fact a violation. I don't know how long these trucks are there. Are they blocking driveways for a period of time that would be a violation? So I'll have to defer to staff on those facts and whether or not we have any actual codes implemented that would address that.
What would a period of time be defined as? If they're blocking?
They may not know, a period of time to find.
Well, is a period of time 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour? Is that,
It depends on whether
what's
we
the
have any
violation?
codes that provide. Now, we have certain codes that allow loading and unloading. And then we can, depending on the type of activity and the use, which code applies. That'd be a question of your staff and through code enforcement to determine based on their location, their business, and the type of deliveries, what loading and unloading and where is appropriate. That would be something for your code enforcement to investigate and determine whether or not they believe there's a violation.
I kind of thought I had asked for some clarity on this last time, and now I'm hearing the possibility of code enforcement having something to do with it.
Code has,
Has code
Code's been
enforcement,
out, yes.
code checked it out?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is code enforcement told the business that it's completely okay, which means, like I said, this is not just me now. This is anyone who lives near, not even next to
And
you,
I get that.
near.
But
I mean,
ultimately, this is going to
it's-
be decided by what the books say and what the
Right.
law says, and if we don't do that, then the business has a right to sue somebody. And I'm just trying to get to a
Right.
happy middle here where the business can still deliver to itself, but at the same time, I will say I've driven your road a few times on purpose for that very reason, and I do that. Unfortunately, when I'm there, it looks really good because there's no truck there. I mean, I'm not pretending it's not there. I'm just saying that I've not caught it there, and so I would love to see how, not that it matters, I got the feeling the whole place is blocked, and quite honestly, if you had to get out, you probably can't. That's how I'm seeing it. Kevin, you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Richard covered it.
So what did apparently the code enforcement is saying there's nothing we can do about that?
there's no violations, no.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, the only thing I can do is give you some history. The trucks have been offloading both on the east side and the west side of Hopkins. And what the trucks used to do is they used the turning lane on Hopkins to park, to offload and carry their packages or whatever to either side. I don't know when they started pulling down Acorn, it's Acorn.
When I first came here.
Yeah.
That, 8 months ago, that's where it starts going off of Hopkins.
Right, it used to,
Onto
all
Acorn.
of the business, because North Brevard Charity owned the house, the business on the corner, and the business behind was American Express or a delivery, and they made deliveries as well as they're doing now, but the trucks, to the courtesy of the neighbors, they would use the turning lane and then cargo their packages to the.
Good point.
Okay, and I don't know why that is stopped. I would suggest if any way that we could recommend that to.
I know why it stopped. It stopped because they built their own little loading area from the shed to the alley, cutting into the street. The pavement used to be 16 feet across. It's now 12 feet across. So they cut into half of a lane that code enforcement said was okay because it was just a little bit, but I don't think they realized, because there's so much overgrowth in the back half of the alley, I don't think they realized how far the pavement actually went to it, and we don't own to the pavement. The city owns that.
What do
in the
they
alley.
deliver there?
Papers, I think. They're a printing business, and it looks like huge pallets of papers, and there is a variance in your nuisances for loud, unnecessarily loud deliveries. And I would say a freight truck with their air brakes at 90 decibels is probably unnecessarily loud in a zone. And also, they wheel their freight cart from the shed, and I don't know if you guys ever heard how loud a shopping cart is on pavement. Times that by 2 at least.
Well, if they park
You're gonna
out
get
on
that. So, but I mean,
Hopkins, you're going to get that anyway. I mean,
But that's your other variance that you have for deliveries is
all
under
right,
nuisances.
Member Stokel.
Okay, so I have the map pulled up of this area. So do you have a recommendation if this business is allowed to be in this area, it's zoned the proper way, where would be the ideal place for them to unload?
To the frontage of their store, which is on Hopkins.
On the other side. Okay, so to what Vice Mayor was saying,
Yes.
you would prefer if they were in that middle lane. Okay, and I'm assuming, do you live on the south side of Acorn?
No, I live on the north side,
Okay, so if it's pulling in the alleyway behind North
which we
Brevard,
stopped. Yeah.
it would not be impacting you, because from what I'm hearing, this is where I'm getting confused. Are they stopping on Acorn, or are they
Yes.
pulling in the alleyway behind North
No,
Brevard?
they're no longer pulling into the alleyway because we stopped that because of how dangerous it was to everybody involved doing that.
Okay, that's where I'm getting confused, because I think
So
I
now they're
remember
pulling in
that.
front of the residential houses.
Did they
On
used to use
Acorn.
the alleyway?
Nobody's used the alleyway other than traveling over it like a public road would until now.
See, and I think this is where I'm a little bit conflicted. So looking at this piece of property, you have the dynamic of residential and commercial. So if you're purchasing, if you're surrounded by residential, you would have some expectation. If you purchase next to commercial,
Which I-
there are, yes. And I
We
think that
did. We took everything into account, how busy the alleyway was for North Brevard with their delivery and
Yes.
drop-offs. We took all of that into account. But the important thing to me, I'm obsessed with the Edwardian area. I love the Titanic. I can finally live in a neighborhood that was zoned in the early 20s.
Right, yeah. And that's where I feel like,
Might
and
be a
yes.
problem. It was only
And
in the 20s.
Well, there was also, we've allowed.
it was rezoned.
We've allowed, like, there's certain rules for home businesses. And so we want to make sure we protect residents surrounding area. If you're going to have a home business, like, certain things cannot happen because it's still a residential area. And I feel like this is that gray area where it falls into, you have a larger truck, you have deliveries that are happening consistently. It's blocking your area. Like, if I had a neighbor, for instance, that's always having a delivery and my mail person can't come, I understand your frustration there. I think where I'm getting, I don't know, because it's so close to commercial, abutting that, I don't know why they stopped the the third middle lane? I don't know if it's a safety
Because,
issue.
because they built a thing to their shed and they want to get deliveries to their shed. That is why.
Right, and
Yeah, I mean, but that's why, but that's what it comes down to.
Yes,
That's why
yes.
the use is changed, is because they built this pathway to their shed in order to get deliveries to.
So I guess and it's not going into their shed, though, it's stopping on Acorn.
No, it's stopping on it's on the alleyway.
They still feel very down the little alleyway
So-
on the street to their shed.
And then we got that cut off because they were trying
Right.
to back the freight trucks up to that, I guess, loading zone that they made to their shed. And we got that stopped because of how dangerous that was. And so now they're like, oh, well, you got that stopped, so now I'm gonna pull it in front
Right, and
of
I guess that's where I'm confused. So if they're not allowed to do it on their property and unload because it's dangerous, what other option do they have aside from the Hopkins middle lane or Acorn?
But they were never, the thing is they cannot unload on their property. The property is too small for them to unload on, other than a small UPS truck, Amazon truck, the same thing you would find in a residential neighborhood. So they have to use the city streets in order to make these freight deliveries.
And it's too dangerous on the alleyway behind North Brevard Charities, that whole alleyway.
Not behind, next to my house. No, North Brevard Charities is part of a trucking route. The alleyway never was, according to FDOT.
Can they use the alleyway?
That would be between, I mean, if it's a public road, I'm sure, but that would probably
I mean,
borrow.
because I've driven down that.
Yeah, I mean, but that would probably, I mean, now cause a
it's-
problem with North Brevard Charities.
Yeah.
And they have to deliver to their business. How difficult, how far is it from Hopkins to their place? Because apparently they used to do that.
Across a lane.
Across
Yeah,
the lane?
it's right there. I see it, but it's like the same distance. There's Hopkins and then there's the alleyway and then their business is right.
They deliver every day?
No, not every day. It seems to come in spurts, like probably whenever they need a refill of whatever they need for the business. And then we'll have 2 weeks of a lot of freight truck activity, sometimes back-to-back days. And then it'll drop off for 2 weeks and then it'll pick back up whenever they need products in order to make their goods delivered to their store, which is a part of distribution.
And I think that's where if there's a commercial, if that's zoned commercial and there's a business there, I feel like our code probably would allow them to have deliveries to a commercial place. I don't know what that would look like for us to change the code or to limit that. I don't know. And that's where I would be a little bit hesitant just because it is zoned commercial. I would want them to be able to run their business. And I honestly don't know about the Hopkins thing. If it became a safety issue doing that I don't know.
But, I mean, so basically, no matter what, it's a safety issue if it winds up going that they can't go to Hopkins. Because if they can't get deliveries on Hopkins because it's a safety issue, why is a smaller street now
Less traffic of.
Yeah, but it's not less traffic, not with the alleyway of North Brevard Charities there.
I think in the end, what it amounts to is that it's zone commercial, they're commercial, they're
Right,
going to
that's
have
where
a
I'm
right
having-
to deliver to their place. I would like to, not that I can tell them what to do, let's make that clear.
Right.
But I would like to find a time when, if there's a kind of time, I'd love to see it. And I'd also like to see, and I could probably go by and see this, how far Hopkins is. And I can't tell them what to do, but I think it could give me better ideas, and I think Vice Mayor probably has more because he's been there more than me. But
It's an odd situation, and we have a neighborhood plan, but I've been told repeatedly the neighborhood plan doesn't matter, which is when you buy the house and you realize, oh, there's a neighborhood plan, find out what a neighborhood plan is. And one of the things that is like a main point in the neighborhood plan is keeping commercial uses onto Hopkins or onto the other, US one. And that's one of the main things, and not having commercial uses encroach into the residential neighborhood. That's one of the.
And I certainly agree with that, and I don't have to live there, I agree with that. But I also have to say, sitting on this side, if it's zone commercial, for us to go to them and say, you can't deliver there anymore.
But it's
that's not
not
gonna
in
work.
front of my house.
So I'm going to let
and
Member
it
Nelson
isn't.
give her a tidbit, and we're going to.
I'm just thinking, how do we distinguish from, say, Rooms to Go? Rooms to Go comes in with their big furniture truck. You're not allowed here. you can't park
Well,
here.
that's why I don't,
You
that's
can't
why I
park
haven't
there.
asked for Acorn to be limited by axles or whatever. That's why I haven't, because I understand that occasionally, yes, we get furniture deliveries.
Right.
We get ovens in, we get refrigerators in, and we're going to need, but residential freight trucks don't happen as often as commercial
Listen
trucks.
to me, it
Yes,
makes
ma'am.
it difficult to say, that truck can come in, but your rooms to go truck, your appliance truck, they can come in, but their truck can't. So it makes it difficult in terms of trying to legislate and say, these trucks can come in, but these trucks can't, when they're the same truck.
Right, which is why
So-
I don't want a limit on the
So,
street.
yeah, so realize it makes it difficult, and that's what code enforcement is telling you, is we don't have a limit on what types of trucks can come in. Now, does that mean it's a commercial roadway? No, but I think we recognize that there are deliveries that have to be made. So that's the issue.
And they're zoned properly for their
And
business. That makes it tough too.
That's-
So that being said, I do want to get out there and see it. I certainly, I think we all sense your frustration, but at the same time, when it comes down to quote the rule book
Right.
says it's zoned commercial. Rooms to go can come in. They don't have to be commercial to have rooms to go come in there. But I get your frustration. I really, really do. I kind of wish that they would do what they were doing before, and you say it's not very far from Hopkins to their place. So let's look at that. I can't tell them what to do, but maybe we can chat.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank
Appreciate
you, guys. Good to
Thank
see you
you.
again.
Next up. Go ahead. Go.
Okay, on to consent agenda. City Council, do you have any questions of staff for consent agenda items A through L?
I see none.
City Council, do you want to pull any of the consent agenda items A through L?
I see none.
City Clerk, do you have any cards for consent?
Yes, sir, one card.
And Mayor, I'd like to read the titles for consent for the record.
Go ahead.
Okay. Consent agenda item 8A, approve the contract for the Osprey Belt Press repairs. Consent agenda item 8B, approve the use of the Palm Beach County contract for the ground storage tank internal inspection and cleaning. Consent agenda item 8C, approve the purchase of a brush squad truck and associated tools and equipment. Consent agenda item 8D, approve various roof repairs of city facilities. Consent agenda item 8E, approve the purchase of a valve maintenance trailer for Public Works. Consent agenda item 8F, approve the Public Works facility fencing and gates. Consent agenda item 8G, approve the contract for the underground facilities line locating services. Consent agenda item 8H, authorize the extension of the flock safety automated license detection systems for 6 months. Consent agenda item 8I, approve the emergency purchase order for Osprey dewatering and hauling. Consent agenda item 8J, authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the comprehensive plan natural resources public engagement. Consent agenda item 8K, authorize the city manager to submit an energy efficient conservation block grant application. And consent agenda item 8L, approve resolution 1, 2024, the right-of-way vacation extension for 365 days.
Council, anything you want to add? Call the card.
We have Stan Johnston for item A, B, and I.
A, B, and I. A, B, and I. I have I circled already. All right, sir, go.
Stan Johnston, registered professional engineer, and we just saw what happened in this council chambers just a few minutes ago, is that this young lady came up with an issue she's brought numerous times to council, and you must have spent, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes on answering questions for him. However, when I came and asked one question at that same agenda item, I got 0 answers and no time. So, on these particular items for the consent agenda, I have three items that have to do with water resources. So I want you to do the right thing. Because on water resources, what we have is we have a similar problem that I told you about in the petitions and requests of the public, is that we are spending money on something which has unanswered questions, and these are matters of life and death. It's not a matter of unloading a truck, an inconvenience. Matters of life and death, and what do? You ignore them. You ignore my questions. Now, hopefully this will go to court. I hope it will, because you guys need to be punished for what you're doing. You really do. I'm ashamed of you. And I think if you'll find out in generations gone by, your children and grandchildren will look at the same way and say, shame on them. Shame on my relative, what they did. So I'm asking you to do some serious consideration of what's going on these items as related to water resources and matters of life and death, because you're not answering the questions. You don't want to answer the questions. And you're guilty. You're guilty of what? Failure to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. So I'll end it there, because that's what I'm licensed by the state to do, and you guys are guilty. Thank you.
Member Nelson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items A through L, but I specifically want to say items J and K made me very happy.
Tell me again.
I'm moving to approve the consent agenda, but items J and K made me very happy.
I think you're talking about Miss K in some way, so what?
Not Miss K. Items J and K.
City Manager, we need to talk about K. No, we don't. We'll leave it alone.
I'll second that motion because I like Member Nelson being
Okay.
here.
So, Herman, your time's up.
Oh,
We have a motion for the consent agenda by Member Nelson, a second by Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Member Cole?
yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. City Manager.
On to item 9B, which is the ordinance number 5, 2024, civic conditional use permits. This is the first reading. The second and public hearing will be scheduled for 13 February 2024. The Planning and Zoning has recommended approval 7-0, and the city attorney will now read the ordinance for the record.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 5, 2024, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances by reclassifying recreation and commercial amusement indoor from a conditional use to a limited use in the community commercial CC, regional commercial RC, regional mixed use RMU 300, and urban village UV zoning districts by amending sections 2854 use table, 28275 recreation and commercial amusement indoor, and 37-1 definitions, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, incorporation into the code, and an effective date.
Staff has given you on the dais a new hard copy. There were some errors in there, so the hard copy that we're working off of is that. And Eddie is here to present.
Okey-doke.
Thank you, City Manager, Mayor, Council. Just wanted to quickly introduce our new staff member. This is Christy Anderson. She's actually been with us for a couple months now, but Christy's our new senior planner, so thanks for having her.
Good to see you. Good luck.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any report or just questions?
I'll go ahead and just provide a
Please do.
brief background. So on May 10th, 2022, the City Council.
That a little closer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. You can pull it to you.
On May 10th, 2022, the City Council directed staff to evaluate the existing conditional uses within the code and provide recommendations on those which are overly restrictive, outdated, or those that should be reclassified as limited and permitted uses. The staff has made recommendations on certain changes to the current code in order to enhance the usability of the code while protecting property rights. This is a kind of a package. So you had approved the CUP for industrial and commercial back in October of last year. And then this just provides the update for our civic and recreational conditional uses.
Okay. Questions? Yes, Member Nelson.
Thank you. Christie, I'm looking at the hard copy, I'm looking over here. And what are the differences?
So on it will be page 624 of 635 of the agenda, page 10 of 12 on your copy there. There was actually a scrivener's error in the original provided within the packet, and the community commercial was missing from the standards for permitted uses with limitations.
Okay.
So the original, it started in the regional commercial RC, regional mixed use, and then the revised version begins with in the community commercial CC, regional commercial RC, regional mixed use, RMU 300.
Okay.
And I believe this is the last CUP of the series that we've done.
Yes, sir, I believe that's correct.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
So we've gone through a series of the CUP
Oh.
cleanup. So this is the actual last one that you'll see.
I got it. Okay, thanks.
Member Stokel.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so just to clarify, on the page number for the new packet we got, page 10, if I'm understanding this correctly, basically before we would have to go through the conditional use permit process, which would be more expensive for applicants and have them go through the process, what we're doing is making it where they have limited use. That's why we're seeing the standards listed in item C to say, okay, basically kind of standards we would have them do anyway if they were to go through the conditional use process.
Yeah, and
So-
if you recall, a previous council member brought this up.
Yep.
And we've been taking it chunks at a time for different areas. So this is the final one.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this work for us and trying to make it easier for our citizens as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? Call the card?
One card, Stan Johnston.
Maybe there's another card. This is an example of disaster, what's going on with what the city is doing here. And when I'm saying disasters, we're talking about public use of recreation areas and so forth like that, because the city has really botched it, according to who? The city, the Titusville Environmental Commission. One of those issues that didn't go by you, that you wanted to ignore and you don't want to ignore, or that you do want to ignore, and that's what's happened here. And that the city sprayed women and children and babies for months. That's a recreational area that TEC has tried to bring to your attention, but was blocked. That's one of the issues was. In other words, they made a motion because they were looked at, and we wanted you to look at fencing. You didn't do it. So I saw kids playing in that sewage. Kids and adults playing in the sewage with their little boats and stuff. How about that? So y'all think about it, what you're doing, because you're not doing right. So go ahead and do what you're doing, and shame on you. Thank you.
Council anymore? Boy, look at here. I don't even know what just happened there. I got a whole new screen. Don't expect me to call anybody. I'm lost now. All right, that's a first reading. We don't deal with that. Wow. None.
So you're to petitions and requests.
Do we have to approve the ordinance?
That's first reading.
No, first reading.
Sorry about that.
Did I not say that loud enough?
I thought that was number 10.
He had a birthday yesterday.
Hey, come on. Be nice, be nice.
Petitions or requests, take two. If it's not you, it's nobody. He's not moving. All right, mayor's report. I kind of already talked about the Astronaut Memorial coming up on Sunday. That's always an outstanding program so excited that we put that on, and I will be there to give the welcome, and I know some of you will be there as well. Get ready. I think it's supposed to be 85 degrees on Sunday after all this, believe it or not. I can't remember. No, we didn't talk about that last time. MLK Parade was outstanding. I think just about everybody was there. It was an outstanding parade. I really, really liked the new move from Campbell Park to Gibson for the end. I also I spoke briefly, very briefly, but I spoke, and I was into the speakers. They went right into music and had a celebration of sorts. As you know, in the past, we had a lot of speakers. And I think that particular event was so much better without a lot of speakers, and went right into entertainment. Jones Band was there. Next year, he's talking about 3 bands, 2 from Baltimore. You may recall the old bands from Baltimore previously. That was outstanding. And my hat's off again to Titusville Playhouse for putting on another incredible show out there. The, Carole King, I don't know what they call it, but the Carole King musical. And again, I'm not that super duper, but that is important because that particular theater reaches so many people with the arts. And, I'm now a season ticket holder and hadn't been in the past. I'm really glad I am. I get to hang out with the fancy people like Jolene. But that being said, it was an outstanding thing. The city manager, you can come on it, I guess, but I guess tomorrow we go to, maybe everybody goes to the meeting at 5 o'clock down in
The EDC, yes, sir,
EDC.
annual report.
Yeah. So outside of that, I think I'm pretty good. As some people say in road, just glad to be here. Member Nelson.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. Beautiful. The play was wonderful. The Shondells, some of the music, the Drifters.
I want to see it again.
I want to see it again. I understand. I was talking to Jim Ball during a break, and he said that was the highest grossing play yet.
It was like Broadway.
And I think they've extended it for 2 more weekends.
Where do they get all that talent?
I don't know. But he said they had 67,000 people last year
Like I said,
in our downtown
they are
Titusville
the beating heart of our
Playhouse.
downtown.
So I don't want to steal Mr. Cole's thunder, but, well, I'm just going to
Well,
say,
I purposely didn't either. If you don't, we'll all jump on it, but we're going to let you get that one.
I'm just going to say, I'm so proud to be a Rotarian. I'm so proud of our Rotary clubs. I think of what we've done over the years. What is it, something like $12,000 every year in scholarships. We did the Carter House. We did
Splash Park.
the splash pad, this new project. But for Rotary, I won't say but for Rotary, but Rotary's played a huge part of that. And 4 out of 5 of us up here are Rotarians. We don't know about that last one. We're working on it. We're working on it. But it's just amazing what a group of people can do when they come together. So, okay, Herman.
Next.
Thank you for not stealing my thunder. And we have 3 Rotary clubs in Titusville. We have a morning club, a noon club, and an North Brevard, which is basically the evening club. What we did, we built an all-inclusive park. And on Saturday, we had the grand opening. And I tell you what, if you want your heart torn out of you, you should have been there. I saw Emily, who works at the city, her niece was there in a wheelchair, and we had a wheelchair swing. Her niece was in the wheelchair swing, and she said, this is the first time I've been to a park and the first time I've been on a swing.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was very difficult to have a dry eye looking at these kids enjoying what we have done. Now, that park was built, we raised $25,000, but we were given a grant from County Commission through Parish of $300,000. So the park right now is at $325, and it's $325,000. It is such a tremendous asset to the city of Titusville. I talked to people that were out there on Saturday and said that we have been trying in Titusville to get a park like that for years and years and years, and it finally came to fruition. And to say that I'm proud is an understatement, because it just, you know, you volunteer and you do a lot of things, and people say, oh, you do a lot. Well, I do a lot of things, but I do it because of the feeling that I get within myself for doing these things in the community. And although it does things for the community, it does, I think, a lot more for me, because it makes me feel good that I've done it. And it was a great event. And if you haven't had a chance to go out and see the park, please go out and you'll see how that park is integrated into the park for the other kids to come in and play. So, you know, we thank you to the community, because the other portions of money that we raised were from our Beer Fest and our Chili Cook-Off, which the community participated in. So we're going to continue to raise funds for this and try to expand what we have out there. But again, I say to the community, thank you.
Well done. Yeah, outstanding park, and the saying for the Rotary is service above self, and I can't think of anything more. And as I said to everyone in your group and shook your hand and congratulated you, there are a lot of people that talk the talk and mean well, but then there are those who walk the walk and get it done. So thank you so very much for that. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the, and many of you were there for that too. On Friday was the re-grand opening of the Downtown Art Club mural dedication.
Art gallery.
What'd I say? Art Club. They might have a club in there somewhere. But anyway, it's only 5 to 8. Downtown Art Gallery ribbon cutting. Thank you. Man, that was just so many impressive things all of a sudden. It was like, that was really cool. So very glad to be a part of that. And we'll go this way to Vice Mayor.
And yes, my heart's broken because I wasn't able to attend. I was out of town. All the activities over the weekend and yes, the Rotary has done a lot, and I want to give the city manager as a Rotarian. He was the leader of making Splash Park and making us pull all that together when he was the club president, and making that happen. He's done a lot of things, and that speaks well of, that's why I've been in it 27 years, a long time. And that we hope that Rotary can continue to be active. It's changed over the years. We have to change the way we do things, because young folks are not overly interested in that type of socialization and community activity for some reason.
True.
All I have is tomorrow night and next week. And next week I'm going to do a lot of walking up in Tallahassee and trying to find out what's going on. And it was a good update on some of the things with the Live Local Act. That first came out at our last meeting, talking about that, and some more changes that are coming down. But let's keep on doing good work for the city. We can't please everyone, but we try to please.
We sure can.
Try to please the most and do the right thing.
Some people are even proud of us. Member Stokel.
Our youngins are just trying to survive over here, okay? And we help where we can. And so not too many updates. As Vice Mayor mentioned, we are going to Tallahassee next week with Florida League of Cities. Lots of legislation, but there's also some good legislation that we are supporting. I will continue to keep you posted on Form 6. It's very interesting. I would assume we're probably will need to file this year, but if you check some of the news, and there's multiple cities that are filing lawsuits trying to get it overturned. So I did hear a good brief history on that legislation. Ironically enough, when three of us first got on council back in 2016, it was getting brought up. It has a long history as to why there was a difference even between the state having one form and local level having a different form. So this has been an ongoing issue, and the league has been very involved with it. It just kind of, as things progressed, it became clear who had the most power at that time. So it will be interesting to see what happens with this legislation. I think it's 34 elected officials just in Palm Beach County had resigned. So I think that's why you're seeing some of this. And I don't know how they plan to address it. But yeah, I will keep you posted as to what happens next week while we're in Tallahassee. Things move very quickly. Things have to be heard by several different committees if they are going to pass, plus potentially amendment changes. And then, yeah, I guess I will see some of you guys at the EDC meeting tomorrow. And that's all I have.
EDC. Very cool. City manager, I'll meet.
I'm not sure if Member Stokel has a special table at the EDC, if you heard, or.
Is there? Don't hold your breath on that. She will.
You think so?
I have two informational items. The first one is the Titusville Tomorrow Downtown Visioning Meeting will be held on 29 January. And there's a flyer on my report that talks about that. It's at St. Gabriel's Church. It starts at 5 p.m. Council had asked during the budget process for us to provide a quarterly strategic plan accomplishments. I've put that in my report, and this is just a snapshot of staff's accomplishments for this particular quarter. Titusville Talking Points has been published. It's very getting a lot of hits this time for some reason. January just gets a lot of information.
Restaurants.
And subject to your questions, that concludes my report.
City attorney.
Yes, Mayor, I have two items for council. The first is an update on the Speak Up Wekiva case in Orange County. The 6th District Court of Appeals entered an order on January 19th, 2024, last week, wherein the appellate court affirmed the circuit court's decision to dismiss the lawsuit filed by Speak Up Wekiva. The appellate court, in their order, found, quote, "We find no merit in the issues raised," and affirmed the decision of the circuit judge. The court went on in their decision in that case to state, because Section 403.4129A, Florida statutes, precludes a local government regulation, ordinance, code, rule, comprehensive plan, charter, or any other provision of law from recognizing or granting any legal rights to a plant, an animal, a body of water, or any other part of the natural environment that is not a person or political subdivision. The charter provisions purported recognition of a right held by water bodies within Orange County, quote, "to exist, flow, be protected against pollution, and to maintain a healthy ecosystem," was correctly held to be in conflict with the statute and preempted thereby. That was the case we spoke about at your last meeting, so that's an update. There was a decision, and if you have any questions, I can answer it, other than I wanted to provide you that update on that case. Second issue is my office received an email from an attorney with the law firm of Weiss, Sirota, Hoffman, Cole, and Bierman, advising that that law firm has decided to file a lawsuit challenging the recent legislation requiring municipal elected officials to complete a Form 6 financial disclosure form. The law firm will file the lawsuit if at least 10 cities sign on as plaintiffs, and will charge each city that joins the lawsuit a flat fee of $10,000. And what they've also sent is a draft resolution. For any cities that want to consider being plaintiffs, they've drafted a resolution for councils to consider passing to support that litigation. I'm not asking you to take any action. This is merely for your information. If council is inclined to discuss this further or wanting to join litigation regarding Form 6, we can certainly make that an agenda item in the future.
That's it. Good? Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, just to piggyback off of that, I would just try to do some research, see what cities have already joined the lawsuit, if we want to have this discussion. I want to say, I think at least 10 have already, so I think they are going forward with it. I plan to ask probably a lot of questions while in Tallahassee next week, just to see maybe what the implications potentially would be. But since we can't talk about it outside of the meeting, I would just say,
agree.
yep, just try to do some research, see what you guys think, if it would be good for us to join in or not. Yeah, I think we all know we were very disappointed in that decision.
Well, I thank you for bringing that to whoever you get to talk to up there, and sometimes a smaller meeting gets more done. But as I had said before, and I would say to anybody, I was a little disappointed we didn't hear more talk from the League of Cities over the past year. And that's the 1 year I can tell you I was hanging around and didn't get a whole lot of discussion of any sort. I'm not sure we all understood exactly what it was. I think some did, especially if I understand the board, county commissioners is already doing this one. So with that being said, now I will say the more I look at it, for me, a retired educator, I'm not going to impress anybody. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I don't really have, it's an invasion of privacy, so to speak, but I don't see anything on there that really bothers me. But there's awful lot of people, I understand, I watched some YouTube cut-ups of some people who did resign. And some of them are attorneys that struggle to disclose some of the things they can't disclose. And some of them are in businesses and partners and they don't want to disclose. And that's, especially when you mention West Palm Beach, that's probably a lot of those folks, not a lot of educators are having a lot of people they can't disclose. I mean, I didn't think it was as bad as I thought it was. And thank you, City Attorney, for sitting down with me. I think it can be all right, but I'd also like to see him say, you know what, if we're all going to do it together, let's all do the sunshine. So I'll leave it at that. I don't have to do this. The guy in the back, you got anything you want to say? Because you're late, we're coming to an end. I just hate for you to come here if you got, no, I gave him my best shot. All right, with that, meeting adjourned.